What if the greatest treasures of human history weren't locked away in museums or buried in royal tombs, but simply vanished, leaving behind only whispers and legends? Picture a world where objects of unimaginable power, knowledge, and beauty slipped through the cracks of time, taking their secrets with them. These aren't just missing artifacts, they're fragments of our collective story, each one a tantalizing puzzle piece that could reshape everything we know about ancient civilizations. From sacred relics believed to hold divine energy to vast libraries filled with the wisdom of the ages, their absence echoes through centuries, sparking endless quests, debates, and dreams of rediscovery. Think about the weight of holding something so profound it could alter history itself, like the Ark of the Covenant, said to carry the voice of the divine, or the Library of Alexandria, a beacon of knowledge swallowed by flames. These weren't merely lost objects, they were cultural keystones, symbols of human achievement and spiritual devotion. Their disappearances left voids that have never been filled, leaving us to wonder, what truths did they hold? What stories could they tell if they were found? The allure isn't just in the relics themselves, but in the mysteries they guard. The unanswered questions that keep historians, archaeologists, and adventurers searching even today. This journey isn't just about cataloging lost treasures, it's about stepping into the shadows of the past, where every vanished artifact is a doorway to another time. Over the centuries, wars, natural disasters, and the slow erosion of ages have conspired to erase these relics from the record, but their legends endure. In this video, we'll uncover 30 of the most extraordinary, from the fabled to the forgotten, tracing their origins, unraveling their mysteries, and exploring why their loss still resonates so deeply. Some were stolen, some destroyed, and some may still lie hidden, waiting to be found. So come with us through ruins across oceans and into the heart of history's greatest enigmas. The past is calling, and its treasures are waiting to be remembered. The Ark of the Covenant wasn't just a sacred chest, it was a force of divine power, a relic so potent that ancient texts describe it striking down enemies and parting rivers. Crafted from pure gold and acacia wood, it held the stone tablets inscribed with the 10 Commandments, a direct link between heaven and earth. For centuries, it rested in the heart of the Temple of Solomon, radiating an aura of holiness. Then, suddenly, it vanished. Some say it was smuggled to Ethiopia by the son of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, hidden away in the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion, guarded by monks sworn to secrecy. Others argue it was seized by Babylonian invaders and melted down, its gold repurposed, its legacy erased. But what if it still exists? The legends speak of its terrifying power, entire armies laid low by its mere presence, cities crumbling before its radiance. If uncovered today, would it still hold that same awe-inspiring force? The mystery endures, drawing explorers and scholars into a timeless quest for one of history's most enigmatic treasures. Now consider another relic steeped in legend, the Holy Grail. Unlike the Ark, this sacred vessel is shrouded in even greater ambiguity. Was it the cup used by Christ at the Last Supper, a simple clay vessel imbued with divine grace? Or was it something more, a chalice of eternal life, granting immortality to those who drank from it? Medieval knights embarked on perilous quests to find it, their tales woven into Arthurian legends and whispered in monastery halls. Some believe it was carried to Britain by Joseph of Arimathea, hidden deep beneath Glastonbury Tor. Others claim it was taken by Templars to secret vaults across Europe, protected by codes and rituals lost to time. The Grail's allure isn't just its connection to the divine, it's the promise of redemption, a symbol of humanity's eternal search for meaning. Could it still lie hidden in some forgotten chapel, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself? The search continues, as captivating today as it was 1,000 years ago. The Holy Grail stands apart from other lost relics. It isn't just an object, but a mirror reflecting humanity's deepest yearnings. While most treasures promise power or wealth, the Grail whispers of transcendence, a chance to touch the divine. Medieval romances describe it as a radiant vessel, glowing with otherworldly light, capable of healing the wounded and sustaining the faithful without food or drink. But here's the twist: its physical form might be the least fascinating part of the mystery. Some scholars argue the Grail was never a cup at all, but a metaphor, a symbol of hidden wisdom passed down through secretive lineages like the Knights Templar. Could the real treasure be knowledge, not gold or gems? Then there's the tantalizing connection to Glastonbury, where folklore claims Joseph of Arimathea buried the Grail beneath the hill, its presence turning the soil red with sacred energy. Pilgrims still flock there, drawn by the idea that the land itself holds echoes of the relic. Yet others insist it's tucked away in a shadowed alcove of a Spanish cathedral or a forgotten Swiss monastery, guarded by generations of silent keepers. The theories multiply. Is it hidden in plain sight, disguised as an ordinary chalice in some dusty church treasury? Or was it spirited away to the New World by Templars fleeing persecution? What makes the Grail endure isn't just the hunt, it's the questions it forces us to confront. If found, would it offer immortality, or was its power always meant to be elusive, a lesson in the pursuit itself? This duality between physical artifact and spiritual ideal keeps the legend alive. And now we turn from the mystical to the mechanical, a relic so advanced it defies the timeline of human innovation. The Antikythera Mechanism, a 2,000-year-old device pulled from the depths of the Aegean, wasn't just ahead of its time, it was centuries ahead. Gears precise as a Swiss watch, dials predicting celestial movements with uncanny accuracy. This wasn't mere craftsmanship. It was genius, lost to the sea until fate dragged it back into the light. How did ancient hands build such a marvel, and what other inventions vanished without a trace? The Antikythera Mechanism shatters everything we thought we knew about ancient technology. Found in the wreckage of a Roman-era ship off the coast of Greece, this corroded bronze artifact seemed unremarkable at first, until researchers realized it was a complex machine with over 30 interlocking gears, each precisely calibrated to track the movements of the sun, moon, and planets. This wasn't just a tool for telling time. It could predict eclipses years in advance and even model the irregular orbit of the moon, a feat of engineering that wouldn't be matched until the 14th century. The sheer sophistication of its design forces us to ask, who were the minds behind this marvel? Were they lone geniuses or part of a wider tradition of mechanical innovation lost to history? What makes the mechanism even more extraordinary is its context. Created around 82 BCE, it emerged from a world without industrial tools or precision manufacturing. Yet its gears were cut with such accuracy that modern engineers have struggled to replicate them using period-appropriate techniques. Some speculate it might have been the work of Archimedes himself, whose legendary inventions were said to include celestial globes and intricate war machines. Others believe it was a product of the famed workshops of Rhodes, where ancient scholars pushed the boundaries of science and mechanics. But here's the haunting question: if this device survived by sheer chance, how many others like it were destroyed? Could entire schools of advanced engineering have vanished without a trace, their secrets swallowed by time? The mechanism's discovery also hints at a broader, unsettling possibility. Ancient texts mention other astonishing devices: Hero of Alexandria's steam-powered engines, the automatic doors of Egyptian temples, even rumors of mechanical birds that could sing. Were these mere myths or echoes of a technological lineage we've barely begun to understand? The Antikythera Mechanism stands as a silent witness to the gaps in our knowledge, a reminder that history's narrative is woven with threads we've yet to unravel. And now we shift from the realm of science to the shadowy world of myth and power, the Spear of Destiny. Unlike the mechanism's precise gears, this relic story is tangled in legend and blood. Said to be the lance that pierced Christ's side during the crucifixion, it's been coveted by emperors, warlords, and tyrants, all believing it grants invincibility to its bearer. From Charlemagne to Hitler, those who sought it were convinced it held the key to destiny itself. But is its power real, or merely the fear and ambition it inspires? The spear's journey through history is as fractured as the civilizations that chased it, lost, rediscovered, and forged anew in the fires of human obsession. The Spear of Destiny is more than a weapon, it's a relic wrapped in paradox, a symbol of divine suffering and earthly ambition. According to tradition, this was the lance held by the Roman soldier Longinus, who pierced the side of Christ during the crucifixion, an act that transformed an instrument of war into an object of sacred power. But its legend grew far beyond that moment. Emperors and conquerors across centuries believed it could tip the scales of fate itself. Charlemagne carried it into battle, claiming its presence ensured his victories until he dropped it one day and died shortly after. Napoleon sought it, hoping to harness its rumored invincibility. Even Hitler became fixated on it, dispatching teams to scour Europe for the spear, convinced it was the key to his twisted vision of dominance. What makes the spear's story so chilling isn't just the myth, it's the way history and obsession intertwine. Multiple artifacts have claimed to be the true spear, from the one displayed in Vienna's Hofburg Palace to relics in Armenia and the Vatican. The Vienna spear, with its blade bound by ancient iron and a nail said to be from the true cross, was the one Hitler coveted. But here's the haunting question. If the spear's power lies in belief, does it matter which one is real? Its influence over rulers suggests the legend itself holds weight, a self-fulfilling prophecy of conquest and ruin. After World War II, the Vienna spear vanished from public view, fueling theories that it was stolen, destroyed, or hidden away, a relic too dangerous to remain in the light. Now contrast the spear's bloody legacy with a loss of an entirely different kind, the Library of Alexandria. If the spear represents power twisted by human hands, the library symbolizes knowledge obliterated by them. Imagine a single building holding the collective wisdom of the ancient world, scrolls from Greece, Egypt, Persia, and beyond, meticulously collected by scholars who believed in preserving every idea under the sun. Founded in the 3rd century BC, the library wasn't just a repository. It was a beacon of intellectual exchange where Euclid mapped geometry, Eratosthenes calculated the Earth's circumference, and texts now lost to us were studied and copied. Yet its fate is a lesson in fragility. Historians still debate how it fell. Was it Julius Caesar's fire during his siege of Alexandria in 48 BC? The rise of Christian zealots purging pagan knowledge centuries later? Or the Arab conquest in the 7th century, as myth suggests? The truth is, the library's destruction wasn't a single event but a slow unraveling, 1,000 cuts to human understanding. Each scroll that burned took with it answers to questions we're still asking today. What medical breakthroughs, what philosophical insights, what stories of forgotten civilizations turned to ash? The tragedy isn't just the loss, it's the silence left behind, the gaps in our history that might never be filled. The Library of Alexandria wasn't just a building, it was the beating heart of the ancient world's intellect, a place where the brightest minds gathered to push the boundaries of human understanding. Picture row after row of scrolls, each one a fragile thread connecting us to forgotten philosophies, scientific breakthroughs, and narratives of civilizations that once thrived. Among its treasures were works by Aristotle, original plays by Sophocles, and detailed accounts of Babylonian astronomy, texts that could have rewritten history if they'd survived. But perhaps the most haunting loss is what we don't even know was lost. Treatises on medicine that might have saved millions, maps of lands now myth, or even early theories of electricity and flight, whispered about in fragments of surviving texts. The library's destruction wasn't a single catastrophic event but a slow unraveling, a series of blows that chipped away at humanity's collective memory. First came Caesar's fire, accidental yet devastating, swallowing scrolls in its hunger. Centuries later, religious and political upheavals finished the job, dismantling what remained piece by piece. Imagine standing in the ashes, watching smoke rise from the last fragments of Heron's blueprints for steam engines or Hypatia's lectures on mathematics, knowledge that wouldn't be rediscovered for over 1,000 years. The tragedy isn't just in the flames, it's in the silence that followed, the questions we'll never have answers to. Now, shift from the ashes of Alexandria to another relic steeped in mystery, one that promised not just knowledge but transformation. The Philosopher's Stone wasn't merely a legend, it was the Holy Grail of alchemy, a substance said to turn base metals into gold and grant eternal life. Medieval scholars like Paracelsus and Newton spent decades hunting for it, convinced that mastering its secrets would unlock the very fabric of nature. But was it ever real? Some believe it was a literal object, a crimson stone hidden in the vaults of secretive alchemical orders. Others argue it was a metaphor for spiritual enlightenment, a coded lesson in self-perfection. The stone's allure lies in its duality, both a physical prize and a philosophical quest. Texts describe it as glowing with an inner light, capable of healing the sick and transcending death itself. Yet no artifact matching its description has ever been found. Could it have been destroyed, like so much of Alexandria's wisdom, or does it still exist, hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone to decipher its riddles? The search for the stone mirrors humanity's timeless hunger, not just for gold or immortality, but for the moment when myth becomes reality. And that's where the line between history and legend blurs, leaving us to wonder what other treasures might still be out there, whispering to us from the shadows of time. The Philosopher's Stone wasn't just a fable, it was the ultimate obsession of the ancient world's greatest minds. Imagine a substance so potent it could defy the laws of nature, transmuting ordinary metals into gold and bestowing immortality. Alchemists like Isaac Newton, better known for his laws of motion, filled entire notebooks with coded recipes for its creation, convinced that unlocking its secrets would reveal the divine blueprint of the universe. Paracelsus, the father of modern chemistry, dedicated his life to the search, believing the stone could purify not just metals but the human soul itself. But here's the twist: the stone's true power might not have been in its physical form at all. Some scholars argue it was never meant to be held in the hand, but in the mind, a metaphor for the transformation of the self. The alchemical texts describing it are riddled with symbolism: the marriage of sun and moon, the serpent devouring its tail, all pointing to inner enlightenment rather than material wealth. Yet others insist the stone was real, a crimson gem or powder hidden in the vaults of medieval guilds, its formula lost to persecution or time. The allure lies in this duality. Was it a literal key to eternal life, or a coded challenge to rise above human limitations? Even today, the stone captivates us, appearing in books and films as the ultimate prize. But its legacy is deeper than pop culture. it represents humanity's unshakable drive to conquer the impossible, to seek answers beyond the visible world. And just as the stone's mystery lingers, so does another enigma, one that dazzled with earthly splendor rather than alchemical magic. The Amber Room, a chamber entirely paneled in golden amber, gemstones and mirrors, was once called the eighth wonder of the world. Crafted in Prussia as a gift for Peter the Great, it glittered like sunlight trapped in honey, a masterpiece of Baroque artistry. Then, during World War II, it vanished without a trace. Unlike the Philosopher's Stone, the Amber Room was undeniably real, a treasure so exquisite that witnesses described its walls glowing as if lit from within. Nazis dismantled it during their invasion of Russia, packing its panels into crates destined for Hitler's private museum. But the convoy disappeared, sparking decades of speculation. Was it hidden in a salt mine, sunk in a Baltic shipwreck, or destroyed in the chaos of war? Fragments have surfaced over the years, a single mosaic found in Bremen, a soldier's diary hinting at its fate, but the room itself remains lost, a ghost of gilded splendor. What makes its disappearance so haunting is the craftsmanship behind it. Amber, already fragile, was carved into intricate scenes, backed with gold leaf and studded with diamonds. Recreating it took modern artisans 24 years, a testament to the original's unparalleled artistry. Yet the replica only deepens the mystery. Where did the real Amber Room go? Its absence is a reminder that even the most tangible treasures can vanish, leaving behind whispers and wonder. And so the search continues, not for a mythical stone, but for a stolen masterpiece, a relic of human genius swallowed by the shadows of history. The Amber Room wasn't just stolen, it vanished into thin air, leaving behind a trail of theories as intricate as its own golden mosaics. Crafted in the early 18th century as a diplomatic gift from Prussia to Russia, the chamber was a Baroque masterpiece, its walls lined with 6 tons of amber panels backed with gold leaf and studded with diamonds. Visitors described it as stepping inside the sun itself, the resin glowing with an almost supernatural warmth. But in 1941, Nazi troops descended on Catherine Palace, carefully dismantling the room and packing it into crates, intending to display it as a trophy of conquest. The crates reached Königsberg Castle, where they were last seen before the trail went cold. Some believe the room was destroyed in Allied bombing raids, reduced to smoke and ash. Others swear it was smuggled out in the chaos of Germany's collapse, hidden in a salt mine, a forgotten bunker, or even loaded onto a ship that now lies at the bottom of the Baltic. Treasure hunters have chased leads for decades, a cryptic diary entry hinting at a Swiss vault, a farmer's claim of buried amber in Poland, even sonar images of a sunken vessel off the coast of Latvia. But the most tantalizing clue emerged in 1997 when a single mosaic from the room surfaced in Germany, stolen by a soldier's son. If one piece survived, could the rest still exist? The mystery deepens when you consider the room's craftsmanship. Amber, already fragile, was painstakingly carved into floral motifs and mythological scenes, each panel a tiny universe of artistry. Rebuilding it took modern experts nearly a quarter century, using pre-war black and white photos as guides. The replica now stands in Catherine Palace, a shimmering ghost of the original, yet its existence only sharpens the question: where is the real Amber Room? Is it waiting in some shadowed storeroom, or did it dissolve into legend, becoming as elusive as the gold it was said to rival? Now, shift from a lost treasure of art to one of conquest, Genghis Khan's tomb. If the Amber Room's fate is a puzzle, the resting place of history's greatest warlord is a void. The Mongol emperor ruled an empire stretching from the Pacific to the Caspian Sea, yet his burial site was so meticulously hidden that not a single trace remains. According to legend, his funeral procession slaughtered every witness along the route, then diverted a river over the grave to erase it forever. For 8 centuries, explorers and scientists have scoured the Mongolian steppes using satellites, ground-penetrating radar, and even drones, but the Earth keeps its secret. What makes the tomb's disappearance so compelling isn't just the man it holds, but the paradox he represents. Genghis Khan united tribes into a globe-spanning force, yet chose anonymity in death. His grave likely holds artifacts of unimaginable value: gold, weapons, the plunder of kingdoms. But its true power lies in its absence. To find it would be to unravel the final mystery of a man who shaped the world, then vanished into it. And so the search continues, not just for treasure, but for the silence at the heart of a legend. Genghis Khan's tomb isn't just a missing grave, it's the ultimate vanishing act, a secret so well kept that even satellites and ground-penetrating radar have failed to crack it. The man who forged history's largest contiguous empire, whose armies reshaped continents, chose to disappear without a trace. Ancient accounts describe a funeral procession of unparalleled secrecy, loyal soldiers slaughtering every bystander along the route, then riding horses back and forth over the burial site to erase all footprints. Some legends claim a river was diverted to flow over the tomb, sealing it beneath rushing water. Others whisper of curses, warning that disturbing the warlord's rest would unleash calamity. But what makes this mystery so compelling isn't just the hiding, it's what might be hidden. Imagine the treasures buried with him, the spoils of 100 conquered cities, golden armor, jewels from Samarkand to Beijing, perhaps even the legendary golden standard that led his armies to victory. Yet the greater prize isn't material, it's the lost chapters of history that could lie with him. Genghis Khan unified the Mongol tribes through brilliance and brutality, creating an empire that connected east and west like never before. His tomb could hold records, maps, or artifacts revealing untold stories of Silk Road exchanges, forgotten diplomatic alliances, or even the true extent of his influence. Modern expeditions have scoured the Mongolian steppes, from the sacred Burkhan Koldun mountain to the desolate valleys of the Gobi, but the Earth refuses to give up its secret. Now shift from the windswept plains of Mongolia to the sands of Egypt, where an even grander enigma awaits: the lost labyrinth of Hawara. Described by ancient historians like Herodotus as a colossal complex surpassing the pyramids, this labyrinth was said to hold 3,000 rooms filled with hieroglyphs, statues, and the accumulated knowledge of Pharaoh Amenemhat III's reign. Herodotus claimed its walls were covered in priceless wisdom, its corridors so bewildering that no one could navigate them without guides. Yet by the Roman era, it had vanished, its location debated for centuries. Recent ground scans near Hawara Pyramid reveal massive underground structures. Could these be the labyrinth's remains, buried beneath millennia of silt and sand? Unlike Genghis Khan's tomb, this wasn't hidden by design but swallowed by time, a monument to human ambition lost in plain sight. If uncovered, it could rewrite our understanding of ancient Egyptian engineering and spirituality. The contrast between these two relics is striking: one concealed by deliberate fury, the other faded by neglect. Both whisper the same truth: some treasures aren't meant to be found, and their power lies in the searching itself. The lost labyrinth of Egypt wasn't just another temple, it was a sprawling underground universe, a maze of corridors and chambers so vast that ancient writers struggled to describe its scale. Herodotus, who walked its halls in the 5th century BC, claimed it dwarfed even the pyramids, with 12 royal courts and 3,000 rooms adorned with hieroglyphs and statues. Strabo wrote of its ceilings carved from single blocks of stone, their weight defying logic. Yet by the time Pliny the Elder mentioned it centuries later, the labyrinth had vanished, swallowed by the desert or dismantled block by block. For centuries, scholars debated whether it was real or merely a traveler's exaggeration until modern technology cast a new light on the mystery. Ground-penetrating radar scans near the Hawara pyramid revealed anomalies beneath the sand, massive, grid-like structures stretching over acres, their outlines eerily matching ancient descriptions. Could these be the labyrinth's remains, buried under millennia of silt and wind? The implications are staggering. Unlike tombs or temples, the labyrinth was said to be a living archive, its walls inscribed with the knowledge of Amenemhat III's reign. Trade records, astronomical observations, perhaps even lost rituals. Finding it could unlock secrets of Egyptian administration, spirituality, and daily life that no pyramid ever revealed. But here's the catch: no full-scale excavation has been attempted. The site lies in a fragile archaeological zone, and the political and logistical hurdles are immense. Now, shift from the silent sands of Egypt to the stormy waters of the Indian Ocean, where another legend sleeps beneath the waves. The Flor de la Mar wasn't just a ship, it was a floating empire, a Portuguese carrack so overloaded with treasure that its very name became synonymous with loss. In 1511, it set sail from Malacca, its holds crammed with gold, jewels, and priceless artifacts plundered from Southeast Asia, enough wealth to bankroll a kingdom. Then, off the coast of Sumatra, a hurricane struck. The ship, already straining under its cargo, shattered on the reefs, taking its riches and hundreds of lives to the depths. What makes the Flor de la Mar story so haunting isn't just the treasure, it's the sheer impossibility of its recovery. The wreck lies in one of the ocean's most treacherous zones, where currents shift the seabed like quicksand. Salvage attempts have yielded mere fragments, a handful of coins, a broken cannon, while the ship's main vault, said to hold a solid gold throne and chests of diamonds, remains elusive. Modern estimates suggest its cargo could be worth billions today, but the real value lies in its historical weight. This was the spoils of an emerging global empire, a snapshot of colonialism's brutal dawn. To recover it would be to hold a mirror to the moment Europe's hunger for conquest first touched distant shores. Yet the Flor de la Mar resists discovery, as if guarding its secrets from the modern world. Unlike the labyrinth, whose enigma lies in silence and sand, this relic whispers from the deep, daring adventurers to brave its watery tomb. The contrast between these two losses, one buried, one drowned, reveals the many ways history hides its treasures. Some vanish by design, others by disaster, but all leave us with the same restless question: what else is out there waiting to be found? The Flor de la Mar wasn't just a shipwreck, it was a floating kingdom's ransom, a vessel so overloaded with treasure that its sinking became the stuff of maritime legend. Picture this: in 1511, after the Portuguese conquest of Malacca, the carrack's creaking holds were stuffed with gold statues, chests of rubies, and the personal hoard of Sultan Mahmud Shah, enough wealth to buy a small nation. But greed may have been its downfall. Despite warnings, Captain Afonso de Albuquerque insisted on loading every last ingot, straining the ship's aging timbers as it set sail for Lisbon. Then, off the coast of Sumatra, a storm ripped the sky open. Waves as tall as castles smashed into the hull, and the Flor de la Mar, already leaking from its hasty repairs, split in two, vanishing into the depths with 600 souls and history's richest cargo. What makes this wreck so tantalizing isn't just the treasure, it's the sheer impossibility of the hunt. The ship went down in the Strait of Malacca, a watery graveyard where currents shift the seabed like desert dunes. Salvage teams have spent decades combing the area, battling pirates and bureaucratic red tape, only to recover fragments, a handful of gold coins, a shattered porcelain bowl. Yet the main hoard, rumored to include a throne of solid gold and a chest of diamonds the size of fists, remains just out of reach. Some claim the wreck is cursed, pointing to the bizarre misfortunes of those who have searched for it. Equipment failures, sudden storms, even a diver who swore he saw ghostly figures guarding the broken hull. Others believe the treasure was never lost at all, that local fishermen recovered it centuries ago, melting down the gold and scattering the gems through underground markets. Now, shift from the ocean's grasp to a relic said to have been claimed by divine wrath, the Menorah of the Second Temple. Unlike the Flor de la Mar's treasure, this wasn't mere gold. It was a sacred symbol, a 7-branched lampstand and forged from a single block of purest gold, its light representing God's presence among the Jewish people. For centuries, it stood in Jerusalem's temple until the Romans sacked the city in 70 CE. The Arch of Titus in Rome immortalizes the moment soldiers carried it through the streets, a trophy of conquest. Then it vanished. Some say it was melted down to fund Roman wars. Others believe it was hidden by priests or even taken to Constantinople, only to disappear during the Crusades. But here's the haunting twist. Jewish tradition holds that the menorah wasn't just stolen, it was destined to vanish until the Messiah's return. Medieval maps marked its supposed location in secret Vatican vaults, while rabbis wrote of dreams where it glowed beneath the Temple Mount, waiting to be reclaimed. The mystery deepens with recent discoveries: an ancient tunnel beneath Jerusalem, its walls scorched as if by a great fire, and a 1st-century coin depicting the menorah with eerie precision. Could it still exist, hidden in some forgotten catacomb or private collection? The search continues, not just for gold, but for a beacon of faith lost to the tides of time. The menorah of the Second Temple wasn't just stolen, it was a spiritual light extinguished, a relic so sacred its absence still burns in the collective memory of a people. Cast from a single block of pure gold, its 7 branches symbolized divine wisdom, its flames a beacon of faith in Jerusalem's heart. When Roman legions razed the temple in 70 CE, they didn't just loot gold, they carried off a nation's soul. The Arch of Titus in Rome immortalizes that moment, soldiers straining under its weight, a trophy of conquest etched in stone. But here's where the mystery deepens. The menorah's trail vanishes after this triumphal parade. Did it end up melted into coins to fund more wars, or was it hidden away, waiting to be reclaimed? Whispers persist that it survived. Medieval Jewish texts speak of priests smuggling it to Babylon, while Crusader chronicles allege it was spirited to Constantinople, only to disappear again in the chaos of siege and fire. The most tantalizing theory places it in the Vatican's secret archives, a claim that's fueled diplomatic tensions and clandestine searches for centuries. In 2016, researchers using thermal imaging detected an anomaly beneath the Arch of Titus, a hollow space behind the menorah's carved image. Could it be a clue or just another dead end in a 2,000-year-old trail? The menorah's loss transcends archaeology. It's become a metaphor for resilience. For generations, Jewish artists have recreated its form in silver and stained glass, a defiant act of remembrance. Modern replicas stand in Jerusalem's streets and synagogues worldwide, their light a promise. What was taken may yet return. And now we turn from a relic of faith to one of myth and might, a blade said to have been pulled from stone by destiny's hand. Excalibur isn't just a sword, it's the embodiment of a king's divine right to rule, a legend sharp enough to cut through centuries of doubt. Unlike the menorah, Excalibur's origins are tangled in folklore and fractured history. Some versions say the Lady of the Lake offered it to Arthur, its blade gleaming with otherworldly craftsmanship. Others claim it was the sword in the stone, a test of worthiness for the boy who would be king. But what if the legend hides a sliver of truth? Medieval chronicles mention a warlord named Artorius who wielded a sword of exceptional quality, a rare treasure in an age of crude iron. Could Excalibur have been a real weapon, lost to time like so many artifacts of the Dark Ages? The sword's disappearance is as mysterious as its origins. Some tales say it was returned to the lake upon Arthur's death, vanishing into the waters as if it had never been. Others suggest it was buried with the king at Glastonbury Abbey, where monks claim to have found his coffin in the 12th century, though no sword was mentioned. Modern searches have turned up nothing, leaving us to wonder, was Excalibur ever real, or is its power in the story itself, a symbol of leadership that outlasts the metal it was forged from? The answer may lie not in the ground, but in the enduring human need for heroes, and the blades that make them legends. Excalibur's legend cuts deeper than mere myth. It's a blade woven into the very fabric of cultural identity, a symbol of sovereignty that transcends time. Whether drawn from stone or lifted from the waters of a mystical lake, its story speaks to an ancient belief that true leadership is bestowed by forces greater than mortal hands. Medieval chronicles describe it with startling precision, a sword gleaming with unearthly craftsmanship, its scabbard said to render the wearer invulnerable. Yet for all the vivid accounts, no tangible trace of Excalibur has ever been found. This absence fuels the debate. Was it ever a physical weapon or a poetic ideal, a metaphor for the divine mandate rulers claim to hold? Consider the historical context. The Dark Ages were a time of fractured kingdoms and shifting power, where legitimacy was often asserted through symbols. A sword of exceptional quality, perhaps a rare Roman spatha or a masterfully forged Frankish blade, could easily become the stuff of legend in the hands of a charismatic leader like Arthur. Archaeological digs at Tintagel, the legendary birthplace of Arthur, have uncovered fragments of luxury goods from the 5th and 6th centuries, proving this was a place of high status. But no sword. Some scholars argue Excalibur's tale evolved from older Celtic myths, like the Irish hero Cú Chulain's lightning-fast spear or the Welsh Dynwen, a flaming sword that refused unworthy hands. The overlap is striking, a weapon imbued with morality, its power tied to the virtue of its wielder. Yet the mystery takes a tantalizing turn when examining Glastonbury Abbey. In the 12th century, monks claimed to have unearthed Arthur's coffin beneath their grounds, though contemporary accounts mention no sword. Could Excalibur have been removed earlier, hidden away during Viking raids or political upheaval? Or does its absence prove it was never buried at all, that the blade, like its king, belongs to the realm of story? Modern technology offers little help. Ground-penetrating radar has revealed nothing conclusive, leaving the legend untarnished by fact. What endures isn't just the question of Excalibur's existence, but why its story resonates so powerfully. It's a narrative alchemy, part weapon, part covenant, a reminder that leadership demands both strength and righteousness. From Tolkien's Anduril to the swords of modern fantasy, Excalibur's echo is everywhere, a testament to humanity's longing for heroes who wield power with honor. Now shift from earthly blades to celestial light, the Star of Bethlehem. Unlike Excalibur, this relic wasn't forged by human hands but illuminated by the cosmos itself. Ancient texts describe it as a beacon of unprecedented brilliance, guiding magi across deserts to a humble stable. But was it a miracle, or could astronomy explain its glow? Some theorize it was a rare planetary alignment, Jupiter and Saturn converging in Pisces, an event recorded in Babylonian star charts. Others propose a supernova, or even a comet like Halley's, its tail streaking across the winter sky. The star's fleeting appearance mirrors the fragility of the moment it heralded, a light that vanished as mysteriously as it came, leaving behind a question written in the stars. The Star of Bethlehem burns bright in history as one of the most enduring celestial mysteries, a light so extraordinary it guided distant travelers to a pivotal moment in human history. Ancient texts describe it as unlike any other star, appearing suddenly and moving against the fixed patterns of the night sky. But was it truly a divine sign, or could science explain its glow? Astronomers have scoured historical records for clues, proposing theories as varied as the cultures that treasure the story. Some point to a rare conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in 7 BC, their orbits aligning so closely they would have shone as a single brilliant point. Chinese sky watchers noted a guest star around the same time, possibly a supernova flaring to life and fading over months. Others argue for Halley's Comet, which streaked across the heavens in 12 BC, its tail a celestial finger pointing toward Jerusalem. Yet none of these explanations fully capture the star's described behavior, its apparent movement, its lingering presence, its specificity. That's where the mystery deepens. Ancient astronomers like Kepler calculated its path, while modern researchers use software to recreate the night skies of 2 millennia ago, searching for anomalies. The debate isn't just academic, it's a crossroads where faith and science meet, each offering a lens to interpret a phenomenon that changed the course of history. Whether miracle or cosmic coincidence, the star's legacy endures precisely because it defies easy answers, a reminder that some lights are meant to guide, not just illuminate. Now shift from the heavens to the depths of legend, the Crown of Atlantis. Unlike the star, this relic isn't tied to historical records but to the whispers of a lost civilization. Plato first described Atlantis as a kingdom of unparalleled sophistication, its rulers adorned with crowns forged from orichalcum, a metal said to glow like fire. When the island sank beneath the waves, its treasures vanished with it, including the crown of its last king. For centuries, explorers have searched for remnants of Atlantis, from the Mediterranean to the Caribbean, hoping to find even a fragment of its fabled wealth. The crown's allure lies in its dual symbolism, a marker of authority and a relic of a wisdom lost to time. If found, it could prove Atlantis was more than myth, a real empire with technology and artistry rivaling ancient Egypt or Greece. Some theorists link it to the strange metal objects occasionally pulled from the sea, artifacts with unexplained compositions, like the so-called Atlantean coins found off Sicily. Others suggest the crown was never physical at all, but a metaphor for the pinnacle of human achievement, swallowed by pride and natural disaster. Whether real or allegorical, its story warns and fascinates in equal measure, a glittering ghost of what might have been. The Crown of Atlantis stands at the crossroads of myth and mystery, a relic so potent that its very existence would rewrite our understanding of ancient technology. Plato's dialogues describe Atlantis as a civilization of staggering advancement, its kings adorned with crowns forged from orichalcum, a metal that gleamed like fire and was prized above all other treasures. But what if these crowns were more than mere symbols of power? Some theorists suggest they functioned as devices, harnessing energy sources lost to history, perhaps even technology so advanced it bordered on the otherworldly. Ancient astronaut enthusiasts point to similar descriptions in global myths, the Vimana flying machines of Hindu texts, or the divine headdresses of Mesopotamian gods said to grant wisdom. Could the crown have been a conduit for knowledge or energy, its secrets buried when Atlantis sank beneath the waves? The legend takes a darker turn when considering Plato's account of the island's downfall, a tale of divine punishment for human hubris. If the crown held real power, was its misuse what doomed Atlantis? This idea resonates with modern fears of technology outstripping wisdom, a cautionary echo across millennia. Yet material evidence remains elusive. Divers have recovered strange metallic objects from the Mediterranean, some with unusual alloys that resist corrosion, but nothing conclusively tied to Atlantis. The most compelling clue might lie in Plato's own words. He claimed the story came from Egyptian priests, guardians of knowledge predating the pyramids. If so, the crown's legacy could be a distorted memory of a pre-flood civilization's pinnacle achievement. Now, shift from the depths of legend to a relic rooted in tangible history, yet just as enigmatic. The Map of Piri Reis isn't just a navigational chart, it's a parchment that defies time. Drawn in 1513 by the Ottoman admiral Piri Reis, it depicts coastlines with impossible accuracy, including Antarctica, a continent Europeans wouldn't officially discover for another 300 years. Even more startling, the map shows Antarctica free of ice, a condition that hasn't existed for at least 6,000 years. How could a 16th century cartographer have access to such knowledge? Some argue the map was pieced together from ancient sources, perhaps surviving fragments of Alexandria's lost library or charts from seafaring cultures like the Phoenicians. Others propose even wilder theories, that it's evidence of pre-Ice Age civilizations or extraterrestrial intervention. The map's margin notes only deepen the mystery. Piri Reis credits the maps of the infidels, a vague reference to earlier explorers whose identities are lost to time. Modern analysis reveals the map's projections align with advanced spherical trigonometry, a technique supposedly unknown until centuries later. Whether a miracle of deduction or a window into forgotten history, the map challenges our assumptions about human exploration and what secrets might still lie hidden in plain sight. The Map of Piri Reis isn't just an old navigational chart, it's a riddle wrapped in parchment, a document that shouldn't exist. Drawn in 1513 by the Ottoman admiral Piri Reis, it depicts coastlines with eerie precision, including the outline of Antarctica, a continent Europeans wouldn't stumble upon until the 19th century. Even more baffling, the map shows Antarctica's landmass free of ice, a condition that hasn't existed for over 6,000 years. How could a 16th century cartographer have known what lay at the bottom of the world, buried beneath miles of glacial frost? The margin notes offer a cryptic clue. Piri Reis credits the maps of the infidels, referencing ancient sources now lost to time. Some scholars argue these sources might have been fragments of Alexandria's legendary library, salvaged by Arab traders or Byzantine scholars. Others propose even wilder theories that the map preserves knowledge from a pre-Ice Age civilization, or even extraterrestrial visitors who charted the Earth millennia ago. Modern analysis only deepens the mystery. The map's projections align with advanced spherical trigonometry, a mathematical technique Europeans wouldn't master for another 200 years. Could this be evidence of a global seafaring network, like the Phoenicians or Minoans, whose voyages stretched farther than we ever imagined? Yet skeptics counter that the map's so-called accuracy is exaggerated, a lucky guess based on distorted interpretations of older, flawed charts. They point to glaring errors like the misplaced Amazon or the absence of the Pacific, as proof that Piri Reis was working with incomplete second-hand knowledge. But even if parts are wrong, the Antarctica anomaly remains. No known civilization from that era could have mapped a continent hidden under ice for millennia. Unless, of course, they weren't working alone. Now, shift from the silent secrets of parchment to a relic that supposedly sings the Bell of Shangri-La. Unlike the map, this object lives in the realm of myth, said to chime with a tone so pure it can heal the sick or summon storms. Tibetan monks whispered of its existence for centuries, hidden in a hidden valley where time itself stands still. Explorers like Nicholas Roerich searched for it in the Himalayas, convinced its vibrations held the key to cosmic harmony. But does the bell exist, or is it another echo of humanity's longing for magic? The answer might lie in the strange acoustic properties of certain ancient metals, or in the power of belief itself. The Bell of Shangri-La doesn't just ring, it resonates through time, a relic said to hold the power of creation and destruction in a single chime. Tibetan monks describe it as forged from an unknown metal, its tone so pure it could mend broken bones or split stone, depending on who struck it. Legends claim it was hidden in the mythical valley of Shangri-La, a paradise untouched by time where sages guarded ancient wisdom. For centuries, adventurers like Nicholas Roerich braved the Himalayas' deadly passes, lured by whispers of its existence. Some never returned, others came back empty-handed, their stories tinged with feverish descriptions of distant, haunting peals echoing through the mountains. What makes this legend so compelling isn't just the bell's supposed powers, it's the science that might explain them. Certain alloys, like those found in Tibetan singing bowls, produce harmonic frequencies known to alter brainwaves and even promote healing. Could the Bell of Shangri-La have been an advanced amplification device, its design lost to time? Ancient texts mention thunder weapons used by Himalayan kingdoms, sonic tools capable of shaking fortifications. Perhaps the bell was both spiritual instrument and weapon, its duality reflecting the balance of compassion and force in Buddhist tradition. Yet the mystery deepens when you consider Shangri-La itself. Unlike Atlantis or El Dorado, this hidden valley wasn't just a place, it was a state of enlightenment, said to reveal itself only to the worthy. If the bell exists, it might not be a physical object at all, but a metaphor for the transformative power of sound, a concept echoed in Hindu mantras and Gregorian chants. Modern expeditions still comb remote monasteries, hoping to find clues in crumbling manuscripts or oral traditions. But like the Yeti's footprints, the bell remains just beyond reach, a shimmering mirage of myth and possibility. Now shift from the ethereal to the mechanical, a relic not of sound but of flight. The Vimana Blueprints aren't just ancient drawings, they're schematics for machines that defy the timeline of human innovation. Hindu texts like the Mahabharata describe these flying chariots in astonishing detail. Golden hulls, propulsion systems powered by mercury, and weapons capable of leveling cities. Were these mere poetic fantasies or evidence of a lost technology that rivaled our own? The answer might lie in a 2,000-year-old manuscript discovered in a Rajasthan temple, its pages filled with intricate diagrams labeled in Sanskrit instructions for building a Vimana. Unlike the Bell of Shangri-La, these blueprints are tangible, if baffling. Modern engineers who have studied them note startling parallels to modern aerodynamics, from wing designs resembling stealth aircraft to descriptions of energy sources that evoke nuclear reactors. One passage even warns of the dangers of improper ignition, a caution that feels eerily prescient. Skeptics dismiss them as elaborate hoaxes or allegories, but the precision is hard to ignore. Could ancient India have possessed knowledge of flight, later erased by time or catastrophe? The blueprints raise a haunting question. How many other myths were actually manuals, their truths obscured by centuries of retelling? From a bell that might never have been rung to machines that might once have flown, these relics remind us that history's boundaries are far more porous than we think. Whether symbols or secrets, their power lies in the questions they force us to ask, and the humility to admit we might never know the answers. The Vimana Blueprints challenge everything we assume about ancient innovation. These aren't just myths, but startlingly precise descriptions of machines that mirror modern aerodynamics. Hindu texts like the Mahabharata and the Samaranganasatradhara detail flying chariots with mercury-fueled engines, crystal domes, and weapons capable of reducing cities to ash. One passage describes a Vimana hovering motionless like the sun, then vanishing into the sky with a roar like thunder. Skeptics dismiss these as poetic exaggeration, but the specificity is hard to ignore. The Samaranganasatradhara even includes measurements for propeller-like mechanisms and warnings about improper fuel mixtures, details that feel less like allegory and more like technical manuals. Could these texts preserve fragments of a lost science, perhaps from the Indus Valley civilization, whose advanced urban planning still baffles archaeologists? Then there's the Rajasthan Manuscript, a crumbling parchment discovered in a temple vault, filled with diagrams labeled in archaic Sanskrit. Modern engineers who have studied it note uncanny parallels to contemporary aircraft, delta wing designs resembling stealth bombers, descriptions of gyroscopic stabilization, and even allusions to electromagnetic propulsion. The most chilling detail, a warning about the fire of the gods unleashed by careless pilots, echoing the devastation of nuclear fallout. Some theorists suggest these blueprints inspired early aviation pioneers like the Wright brothers, who studied global myths of flight. Others go further, proposing they're evidence of pre-flood technology or even extraterrestrial influence. The truth may lie somewhere in between, a civilization's imaginative reach merging with glimpses of genuine mechanical genius lost to time. Now shift from the roar of engines to the whisper of gold, the Necklace of Harmonia, a relic of beauty with a curse as old as storytelling itself. Crafted by the god Hephaestus, it was a wedding gift for Harmonia, daughter of Aphrodite, its gems said to glow with divine radiance. But the necklace carried a terrible price. Every wearer met with tragedy, from Semele's mortal immolation to the fall of Thebes. Unlike the Vimana's mechanical mysteries, this relic's power was pure myth, or was it? Ancient historians like Pausanias claimed the necklace still existed in their time, locked away in a temple after driving its last owner mad. What makes the necklace fascinating isn't just its curse, but its journey through history. Some believe it was smuggled to Macedonia, where it adorned Olympias, mother of Alexander the Great, fueling her infamous ruthlessness. Others say it sank with Cleopatra's treasure, its gold dissolving into the Mediterranean's embrace. Modern archaeologists have traced similar cursed jewels, a sapphire pendant in Istanbul's Topkapi Palace, linked to a string of untimely deaths, or the Hope Diamond's bloody legacy. Could these be echoes of Harmonia's necklace, or just humanity's timeless fascination with objects that blur the line between beauty and doom? The answer may lie not in the metal, but in the stories we cling to, the ones that remind us how easily brilliance can tip into ruin. The Necklace of Harmonia wasn't merely an exquisite piece of jewelry, it was a divine paradox, crafted by the gods as both a blessing and a punishment. Hephaestus, the smith of Olympus, forged it for Harmonia, daughter of Ares and Aphrodite, weaving beauty and calamity into every link. The necklace shimmered with otherworldly radiance, its gems said to pulse with the light of the heavens. Yet from the moment it graced Harmonia's neck, tragedy followed like a shadow. Her descendant Semele consumed by Zeus's lightning, Pentheus torn apart by his own mother in a Dionysian frenzy, the fall of Thebes itself. Each disaster traced back to the necklace's cursed embrace. Ancient historians like Pausanias insisted it survived these horrors, locked away in a temple to stifle its malice. But by the Roman era, it vanished, leaving behind a question as sharp as the blade that felled Thebes. Was the curse broken, or did the necklace simply find new throats to adorn? Rumors of its fate are as tangled as its golden strands. Some claim Macedonian raiders stole it during Thebes' sacking, delivering it to Olympias, whose ruthlessness fueled Alexander the Great's rise and her own grisly end. Others whisper it was smuggled to Egypt, lost in the same shipwreck that claimed Cleopatra's pearl-laden fleet. Modern excavations have yielded tantalizing clues. A 1st-century fresco in Pompeii depicting a woman clutching a glowing necklace as flames engulf her, or the cursed sapphire pendant in Istanbul's Topkapi Palace, blamed for the sudden deaths of 6 Ottoman sultans. Are these echoes of Harmonia's legacy, or just the human tendency to blame misfortune on the objects we covet? The answer may lie in the necklace's true nature, not as a vessel of divine wrath, but as a mirror for the darkness already lurking in the hearts of those who wore it. Now we turn from a relic that wielded fate like a weapon to one that sought to unveil it, the Sibylline Books. Unlike the necklace's curse, these ancient texts offered a glimpse into destiny itself, if only one could decipher their riddles. According to legend, an enigmatic old woman approached the last king of Rome, Tarquin the Proud, offering 9 volumes of prophecies at a price so exorbitant he refused. She burned 3 and returned, demanding the same sum for the remaining 6. When he scoffed again, she reduced them to 3, finally convincing him of their worth. These surviving books became Rome's most guarded secret, consulted in times of crisis for cryptic guidance that shaped the empire's fate. The book's power lay not in their material but in their ambiguity. Written in Greek hexameter, their verses were deliberately opaque, open to interpretation by Rome's priestly keepers. When Hannibal threatened to overrun the city, the books advised burying 2 Gauls and 2 Greeks alive in the Forum, a grim ritual that allegedly spared Rome from defeat. Centuries later, as flames engulfed Julius Caesar's funeral pyre, rumors spread that a Sibylline prophecy foretold his death, warning of the lion slain by the multitude. Yet the books themselves perished in the chaos of the empire's decline, burned by a general who feared their secrets would empower rivals. What makes their loss so profound is the void it left in history's narrative. Unlike the Necklace of Harmonia, which thrived on destruction, the Sibylline books were meant to avert it, their verses a compass for navigating calamity. Fragments survive in later Christian texts, their authenticity debated, but the originals are gone. Were they purely political tools, their prophecies crafted to justify harsh decrees, or did they hold genuine insights, their language a code for truths too dangerous to speak plainly? The book's legacy endures in the very word Sibylline, a synonym for the inscrutable, a reminder that some secrets once lost refuse to be rediscovered. And so we're left with 2 relics of fate, one that wielded doom, the other that sought to defy it, one bound to the human flaw of desire, the other to the eternal quest for clarity. Both whisper the same lesson that the past's greatest treasures aren't always those we can hold, but those that hold us in their thrall, long after they've turned to dust. The Sibylline books weren't just ancient scrolls, they were Rome's secret weapon, a collection of prophecies so potent they could sway empires and alter the course of history. Imagine a council of priests huddled in the temple of Jupiter, unraveling cryptic verses to determine whether to wage war or avert disaster. These texts, purchased from a mysterious seer centuries earlier, were consulted in moments of existential crisis, their words interpreted as divine mandates. When Hannibal's army stood at Rome's gates, the books demanded unthinkable sacrifices, live burials in the Forum, to secure victory. When plagues ravaged the city, they prescribed new temples to appease the gods. But here's the twist: the books weren't straightforward predictions. They were riddles deliberately opaque, forcing Rome's leaders to confront their own ambitions and fears. Their destruction reads like a prophecy in itself. As the Roman Republic crumbled, a general ordered the books burned, fearing rivals would misuse their power. Only fragments survived, copied by scholars or woven into later Christian texts. What was lost? Some historians believe the originals contained apocalyptic visions, warnings of fires that would consume the capital, or barbarian hordes pouring through the Alps. Others argue they were political tools, their verses crafted to justify expansion or suppress dissent. The real tragedy isn't just the loss of the texts, but the silence they left behind. Without them, we'll never know how much of Rome's rise and fall was guided by those eerie, ambiguous verses. Now shift from the ashes of prophecy to a relic that embodied the fury of war itself, the Palladium of Troy. Unlike the Sibylline books, this wasn't a text but a sacred statue, a wooden figure of the goddess Athena said to protect any city that possessed it. According to legend, as long as the Palladium stood within Troy's walls, the city couldn't be conquered. But when Odysseus and Diomed stole it during the Trojan War, fate turned against the Trojans. The story takes a darker turn after the war. The Palladium vanished into legend, with competing claims about its fate. Some said it was taken to Athens, others to Rome, where it was hidden beneath the temple of Vesta, guarded by virgins sworn to secrecy. What makes the Palladium so fascinating isn't just its mythical power, but how its legend evolved. By the Roman era, emperors claimed to possess it, using its symbolism to legitimize their rule. Yet no physical trace has ever been found. Was it destroyed in a fire, or does it still lie buried beneath Rome, its protective magic dormant? The Palladium's true legacy might be the idea it represents, that faith in a relic can shape destiny as surely as the relic itself. From Troy's fall to Rome's rise, its story reminds us that sometimes belief is the most powerful weapon of all. The Palladium of Troy wasn't just a statue, it was the divine safeguard of an entire civilization, a wooden figure of Athena so sacred that its presence alone was believed to hold back destruction. Legend claims it fell from the heavens, a gift from the gods to King Ilus, founder of Troy. For generations, it stood in the city's innermost temple, radiating protection. Then came the Trojan War, and with it, Odysseus and Diomed's Greek heroes who slipped into Troy under cover of night, stealing the Palladium and sealing the city's doom. But here's where history and myth blur. Did the statue truly exist, or was its story a metaphor for the fragility of power? Ancient historians couldn't agree. Some, like Pausanias, swore the Palladium was real, taken to Athens or Argos as a war trophy. Others insisted it made its way to Rome, hidden beneath the temple of Vesta, where priestesses guarded it alongside the eternal flame. Roman emperors leaned hard into this narrative, claiming the relic's protection as divine endorsement of their rule. Yet no physical evidence has ever surfaced, no carvings, no temple inventories mentioning its arrival. Modern digs in Troy's ruins have uncovered fragments of votive statues, but nothing matching the Palladium's legendary description. What's fascinating isn't just the relic's disappearance, but how its myth shaped empires. Constantinople later claimed its own Palladium, a statue said to guard the city until Crusaders looted it in 1204. The idea of a talismanic object, a single pivot point between survival and ruin, echoes through history, from the Ark of the Covenant to the Sword of State. The Palladium's true power might have been psychological, the belief that destiny could be held in human hands. Now shift from myth to metal, the Damascus Steel swords, blades so legendary they seemed forged by magic. Unlike the Palladium's elusive wood, these weapons left behind tangible marvels. Crusaders encountering Saracen warriors described their swords as capable of slicing through armor, or even a floating silk scarf dropped onto the blade. The secret lay in the steel's intricate patterning, rippling like water, and a metallurgical recipe lost for centuries. Modern scientists have spent decades trying to reverse engineer the process, analyzing surviving blades down to the atomic level. What they've uncovered is a fusion of art and science, high-carbon steel folded with traces of rare ores, possibly from Indian mines, creating a microstructure unmatched until the Industrial Age. The swords weren't just tools of war, they were masterpieces, their strength and flexibility defying the limits of medieval technology. Yet by the 18th century, the technique vanished. Some blame the collapse of trade routes cutting off critical materials. Others suspect guild secrecy led to the knowledge's extinction. Either way, these blades stand as a testament to human ingenuity and how easily brilliance can slip through time's fingers. The quest to recreate them mirrors our fascination with the Palladium, a longing to reclaim what was lost and to wield the extraordinary once more. Damascus Steel swords weren't just weapons, they were marvels of ancient engineering, blades so finely crafted they seemed to defy the limits of their time. Crusaders returning from the Holy Land told tales of Saracen warriors wielding swords that could slice through armor as if it were parchment, their surfaces shimmering with watery patterns that danced in the sunlight. These blades weren't merely strong, they were flexible, resistant to shattering, and held edges so sharp they could cleave a silk scarf dropped onto their length. But by the 18th century, the art of forging them vanished, leaving behind only fragments of their brilliance and a mystery that still puzzles metallurgists today. The secret lay in the steel itself, a unique composition known as woots, imported from India and Sri Lanka. Unlike the crude iron of medieval Europe, woots contained high carbon content and traces of rare elements like vanadium, creating a crystalline structure that formed those signature rippling patterns. Blacksmiths in Damascus, then a hub of metalworking genius, heated, folded, and hammered the ingots with precision, aligning the crystals into layers that made the blades both resilient and lethal. But here's the twist: modern attempts to recreate the process have fallen short. Even with advanced scanning technology, scientists can't fully replicate the sword's nanostructure. Some theories suggest the original ores contained impurities, microscopic traces of elements like tungsten or titanium, that vanished when mines were exhausted. Others propose the forging techniques involved temperature fluctuations or quenching methods lost to time. The truth might lie in both, a perfect storm of material and craftsmanship, erased by shifting trade routes and guild secrecy. Now shift from the forge's fire to the glittering splendor of the crown jewels of Ireland. Unlike the Damascus blades, these weren't tools of war but symbols of sovereignty, a collection of regalia so opulent they embodied the power and pride of a kingdom. Crafted in the 17th century for the coronation of Irish monarchs, the jewels included a golden crown studded with emeralds, a diamond-encrusted scepter, and the famed Order of St. Patrick, a star-shaped badge set with Brazilian rubies, but in 1907, they vanished from Dublin Castle under circumstances so bizarre they'd feel at home in a heist novel. The robbery was audacious. Despite being kept in a vault behind multiple locked doors, the jewels disappeared without a trace, no broken locks, no signs of forced entry. Suspicion fell on the castle's own staff, including a shadowy figure named Francis Shackleton, brother to the famed explorer Ernest. Some whispered of royal intrigue, suggesting the theft was staged to hide embarrassing secrets tied to the jewels' ownership. Others believed Irish Republicans stole them to undermine British rule. The truth remains buried, like the jewels themselves, if they still exist at all. Modern investigations have turned up nothing, no fragments, no black market sales, just a void where a kingdom's treasure once shone. What makes their loss so poignant is the cultural weight they carried. The crown jewels weren't just ornaments, they were woven into Ireland's complex identity, symbols of a contested monarchy in a land yearning for independence. Their absence is a silent echo of that struggle, a reminder that some treasures vanish not by accident but by design. And so the search continues, not just for gold and gems, but for the unresolved chapters of history they represent. The crown jewels of Ireland weren't just stolen, they vanished into thin air, a heist so brazen it redefined the word impossible. On the morning of July 6, 1907, guards at Dublin Castle discovered the safe holding the jewels wide open, its contents gone. No broken locks, no signs of forced entry, just an eerie absence where a crown studded with emeralds and a diamond-encrusted scepter should have been. The jewels weren't merely ornaments, they were the physical embodiment of British rule over Ireland, making their disappearance a scandal that rocked empires. Suspicion swirled around the castle's inner circle, particularly Francis Shackleton, a shadowy figure with ties to both the aristocracy and Dublin's underworld. Some whispered the theft was an inside job orchestrated to cover up a royal scandal, while others believed Irish nationalists had struck a symbolic blow against the crown. The truth, over a century later, we're still guessing. Rumors about the jewels' fate are as tangled as the politics of the era. Some claim they were smuggled to Amsterdam and dismantled, their gems sold piece by piece on the black market. Others insist they're buried beneath a Dublin pub or hidden in a secret compartment of a nobleman's estate. The most tantalizing theory, that they were never meant to be found, that their theft was a carefully staged act of rebellion, the ultimate humiliation for a regime clinging to power. Whatever the case, their absence is a gaping hole in history, a glittering ghost that refuses to be laid to rest. Now, shift from stolen crowns to a relic that challenges belief itself. The Holy Prepuce, a sacred object wrapped in centuries of devotion and debate. Unlike the crown jewels, this wasn't a symbol of earthly power but a fragment of faith, said to be the foreskin of Christ preserved from the circumcision described in the Gospel of Luke. For medieval believers, it was a tangible connection to the divine, a relic so holy it spawned countless claims across Europe. At one point, over a dozen churches insisted they possessed the authentic prepuce, each offering miracles as proof. The Vatican even weighed in, granting indulgences to pilgrims who venerated certain versions. The prepuce's journey through history is as surreal as its premise. Charlemagne allegedly gifted one to Pope Leo III, while another surfaced in the hands of a 15th-century mystic who claimed it glowed with celestial light. By the 16th century, the Reformation turned it into a target of satire. Erasmus joked that enough holy prepuces existed to weave a sail for a ship. Yet for all the skepticism, its spiritual significance endured. In 1904, the Italian village of Calcutta claimed to possess the last remaining prepuce, drawing pilgrims until it, too, vanished under mysterious circumstances in the 1980s. What makes this relic so captivating isn't just its improbability, but what it reveals about humanity's need to hold the sacred in their hands. Whether venerated as divine or dismissed as folklore, the prepuce's story mirrors our timeless quest to bridge the gap between heaven and earth, a quest as elusive as the relic itself. And so we're left with a paradox, an object too holy to exist, yet too powerful to forget. The Holy Prepuce wasn't just a relic, it was a paradox wrapped in devotion, a fragment of the divine that sparked both reverence and ridicule across medieval Europe. Imagine a time when faith was tactile, when believers yearned to touch the sacred, and you'll understand how a single object could inspire pilgrimages, miracles, and fierce theological debates. Churches from Rome to Chartres claim to possess this most intimate of relics, each displaying a fragment said to be the foreskin of Christ, preserved from the circumcision described in the Gospel of Luke. For centuries, these shrines drew the faithful, their stories intertwining with the very fabric of medieval spirituality. But here's the twist. By the 16th century, the Reformation turned the Prepuce into a punchline, with reformers mocking the sheer number of competing claims. Erasmus famously quipped that if all the alleged Holy Prepuces were gathered, they could weave a sail for a ship. Yet beneath the satire lay a deeper truth. This relic embodied humanity's longing to hold the intangible, to make the divine tangible. Now shift from the realm of sacred flesh to the world of lost words, the vanished plays of Sophocles. Unlike the Holy Prepuce, these weren't objects of veneration but masterpieces of storytelling, their absence leaving a void in the literary canon. Sophocles, the towering figure of Greek tragedy, wrote over 120 plays, yet only 7 survive intact. Imagine the magnitude of that loss. Entire narratives that shaped ancient thought, performed for audiences who wept at their heroes' fates and debated their moral dilemmas. The surviving works, like Oedipus Rex and Antigone, offer glimpses of his genius, but the rest, reduced to fragments, titles, or tantalizing references in other texts. One lost play, The Gathering of the Achaeans, was said to rival Homer's epics in scope. Another, Tarius, explored themes of vengeance and transformation so vividly that later poets borrowed its imagery for centuries. What makes their disappearance so haunting is the cultural black hole it represents. These weren't just entertainments, they were mirrors held up to society, wrestling with justice, fate, and the fragility of human pride. The Library of Alexandria might have held copies, its flames consuming Sophocles' words alongside countless others, or perhaps they molded in forgotten scroll cases, crumbling into dust as the centuries turned. The few fragments we have, like a single line from Niobe, "Weep no more, the gods are not deathless after all," hint at depths we'll never fully plumb. It's a reminder that history isn't just about what survives, but what slips through our fingers, leaving us to wonder what brilliance might have been. Now consider the contrast between these two losses. The Holy Prepuce's legend thrived on its elusiveness, its power rooted in belief rather than substance. Sophocles' plays, though, were concrete achievements, their absence a theft of collective human imagination. One invited faith, the other demanded preservation. Yet both speak to the same truth, that what we lose shapes us as much as what we keep, echoing through time as questions without answers. And so we turn the page, not to another relic, but to a treasure of pure intellect, the lost dialogues of Aristotle, whose vanished words might have rewritten philosophy itself. The lost plays of Sophocles aren't just gaps in a library, they're missing chapters of human imagination, stories that once held audiences spellbound in the theaters of ancient Athens. Of the 120 plays he crafted, only 7 survive intact. That means over 100 masterpieces, each one a meticulously woven tapestry of fate, pride, and divine justice, have crumbled into fragments or vanished entirely. Imagine the magnitude of that loss, entire worlds of drama, characters as vivid as Oedipus or Antigone, their voices silenced forever. The surviving fragments tease us with glimpses of what's gone. A line from The Gathering of the Achaeans suggests an epic rivaling Homer's Iliad, while references to Tarius hint at a tale so brutal it inspired later poets to borrow its themes of revenge and metamorphosis. These weren't just entertainments, they were mirrors held up to the human condition, asking questions about power, morality, and the capriciousness of the gods. Consider Niobe, a play so renowned in antiquity that vase painters depicted its scenes centuries after Sophocles' death. All that remains is a single, haunting line: "Weep no more, the gods are not deathless after all." What kind of story could have carried such a weighty revelation? Or The Lovers of Achilles, a tragedy exploring the hero's relationship with Patroclus, might it have offered a queer narrative erased by time? The loss isn't just about missing art, it's about the erasure of cultural conversations, the silencing of voices that shaped how ancient Greeks understood themselves. Now shift from the fragility of papyrus to the weight of gold, the treasure of the Nibelungs. Unlike Sophocles' plays, this relic is steeped in blood and conquest, a hoard so vast it blurred the line between history and myth. The Nibelungen, a medieval epic, describes it as a cursed fortune, dragons, gold, rings, and a sword pulled from a mountain, all tainted by the greed and betrayal of kings. But here's the twist: the treasure wasn't just legend. Historians trace its roots to real events: the collapse of the Burgundian kingdom in the 5th century, when a Roman ally's court was sacked by Huns. The loot, said to include wagon loads of gem-studded armor and golden chalices, vanished into the chaos of war, becoming the stuff of Germanic saga. What makes the Nibelung treasure so compelling is its duality. It's both a historical prize and a cautionary fable, a reminder that wealth can be as destructive as it is dazzling. The epic warns that those who sought it, like the hero Siegfried or the vengeful Kriemhild, met grisly ends. Yet the allure persists. Modern hunters have scoured the Rhine for traces, from Koblenz to Worms, following clues in the text. In 2020, a diver even claimed to find a cache of Nibelung-era coins near the river's bend, though experts dismissed them as Roman. The treasure's true power might lie in its elusiveness, a symbol of how the past refuses to surrender all its secrets. Whether buried in a forgotten hillside or melted down centuries ago, its legend endures, whispering of a time when gold could topple kingdoms and myths were forged in fire. The treasure of the Nibelungs isn't just a myth. It's a golden thread weaving through history, connecting the bloody collapse of an ancient kingdom to the operatic fantasies of Wagner's Ring cycle. According to legend, this was a hoard of unimaginable wealth, forged from dragon's gold and cursed by the greed of gods and men alike. The Nibelungen, a medieval epic, describes it in lavish detail. Rings that radiated power, a sword pulled from a mountain, and piles of gem-studded armor, all tainted by betrayal and violence. But beneath the fantastical layers lies a kernel of truth. Historians trace its origins to the real-life plunder of the Burgundian kingdom in the 5th century, when Hunnic invaders sacked the court of King Gundahar, scattering his treasure into the Rhine's murky depths. What makes this legend so captivating is its duality, a fusion of historical loot and moral fable. The saga warns that those who sought the treasure, like the hero Siegfried or the vengeful Queen Kriemhild, met gruesome ends, their fate sealed by the gold's curse. Yet the allure persists. Modern treasure hunters still comb the Rhine's banks with metal detectors, dreaming of uncovering a glint of Burgundian gold. In 2020, a diver claimed to find a cluster of 5th century coins near Worms, sparking fleeting hope, though experts quickly dismissed them as Roman remnants. The real treasure might not be gold at all, but the story itself, a cautionary tale about the corrosive power of wealth echoing across centuries. Now shift from the river's shadowed depths to the sun-baked plains of Mesopotamia, where another legend taunts us with its absence. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon weren't just a marvel of engineering, they were a paradox, a lush oasis suspended in the desert sky. Ancient historians like Strabo and Diodorus described them in awe, terraced gardens dripping with exotic plants, their roots nourished by an intricate system of pumps and aqueducts. Nebuchadnezzar II supposedly built them for his homesick queen, a verdant tribute to her mountainous homeland. Yet here's the twist: no physical evidence of the gardens has ever been found in Babylon's ruins. Some scholars argue they weren't in Babylon at all, but in Nineveh, commissioned by the Assyrian king Sennacherib a century earlier. cuneiform tablets from his reign detail an elaborate irrigation system eerily similar to the garden's descriptions. Others suggest the gardens were pure myth, a traveler's exaggeration that grew into legend. But the absence of proof hasn't dimmed their allure. The idea of a floating Eden defying the harshness of the desert speaks to something deeper: humanity's longing to conquer nature, to create beauty where none should exist. Whether real or imagined, the Hanging Gardens remain a testament to the power of stories to shape our understanding of the past, leaving us to wonder if some treasures are meant to be dreamed, not found. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon stand as one of history's most tantalizing enigmas, a wonder so vivid in ancient texts yet utterly absent from the archaeological record. Greek historians like Strabo and Diodorus painted them in breathtaking detail, terraced gardens towering over the desert, lush with exotic trees and vibrant flowers, their roots fed by an ingenious system of screws and aqueducts that defied the arid landscape. Nebuchadnezzar II supposedly built them for his Median queen, Amates, who longed for the green mountains of her homeland. But dig through the ruins of Babylon today, and you'll find no trace of these soaring gardens, no remnants of their legendary irrigation. This glaring absence has led scholars to a provocative theory. What if the gardens weren't in Babylon at all? Recent research points to Nineveh, the Assyrian capital, as the true location. Cuneiform tablets from King Sennacherib's reign describe an astonishing feat of engineering. A sprawling garden complex fed by a canal system stretching over 50 miles, complete with water-raising screws identical to those credited to the Babylonians centuries later. Even more compelling, stone reliefs from Sennacherib's palace depict tiered gardens dripping with vines and fruit trees, their design eerily matching ancient descriptions of the Hanging Gardens. Could this have been the original wonder, its fame later transferred to Babylon through a game of historical telephone? The implications are staggering. If true, it would mean one of the seven wonders was misattributed for over 2 millennia, a testament to how easily the past can be rewritten by time and assumption. Yet the mystery doesn't end there. Some argue the gardens were pure myth, a traveler's fantasy embellished with each retelling. After all, no Babylonian texts mention them, and Herodotus, who exhaustively documented Babylon's marvels, never noted their existence. But here's the counterpoint: absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence. Babylon's ruins have been plundered for centuries, its bricks repurposed by countless empires. Could the gardens have been dismantled stone by stone, their memory surviving only in whispers? The debate forces us to confront a humbling truth. Even the most celebrated relics of antiquity can slip through the cracks of history, leaving us to piece together their reality from fragments and faith. Now shift from the silence of vanished gardens to the resonance of a different kind of relic, one that still sings across the centuries. The Stradivarius Messiah isn't just a violin, it's the pinnacle of craftsmanship, an instrument so perfect it borders on the supernatural. Crafted in 1716 by Antonio Stradivari, the Messiah remains in near pristine condition, its varnish glowing like liquid amber, its curves untouched by the wear of time. But its true magic lies in its sound, a tone so pure, so hauntingly resonant, that musicians describe it as though the wood itself breathes. What sets the Messiah apart isn't just its beauty, but its elusiveness. Stradivari never sold it, keeping it in his workshop as a masterpiece to showcase his skill. For over a century, it passed through private collections, played only sparingly, its voice preserved like a secret. Even today, it's rarely heard in public, guarded under glass in Oxford's Ashmolean Museum as both a treasure and a riddle. Scientists have scrutinized its every fiber, from the density of its alpine spruce to the chemical makeup of its varnish, yet no one has fully unraveled the secret of its sound. Some attribute it to the Little Ice Age's slow-growing trees, their tight grain perfect for resonance. Others point to Stradivarius' mysterious varnish recipe, lost with his death. But perhaps the Messiah's true power lies in its duality, an object of art and science, its music a bridge between the tangible and the sublime. Like the hanging gardens, the Messiah challenges our certainty. One a phantom of greenery, the other a vessel of sound, both remind us that history's greatest treasures often dwell in the space between proof and wonder, waiting for us to listen closely. The Stradivarius Messiah isn't just a violin, it's a frozen moment of perfection, a masterpiece so immaculate it feels untouched by time. Crafted by Antonio Stradivari in 1716, this instrument has never been played regularly. Its strings spared the wear of performance, its varnish glowing as if still wet. Musicians who have handled it describe its sound as otherworldly, a resonance that seems to emerge from the wood itself, as though Stradivari captured something beyond mere craftsmanship. But what made his work so extraordinary? Theories abound. Some credit the dense alpine spruce grown during the Little Ice Age, its tight grain perfect for acoustics. Others point to a secret varnish formula, infused with minerals or even insect resins, lost when the master luthier took his secrets to the grave. More tantalizing are the whispers of alchemy, that Stradivari's workshop was a laboratory of harmonics, where wood was treated with mysterious compounds to unlock its latent voice. Yet the Messiah's true enigma lies in its existence as both artifact and ideal. Unlike other Stradivarius violins which have been played for centuries, this one was preserved like a relic, passed down as a testament to what human hands could achieve. It's as if Stradivari crafted it not for the present but for posterity, a challenge to future generations to unravel his genius. Today, it rests behind glass in Oxford's Ashmolean Museum, a silent siren calling to scientists and musicians alike. They scrutinize its curves with X-rays and spectrographs, searching for the ghost of Stradivari's method in its fibers, but perhaps some secrets aren't meant to be solved. The Messiah reminds us that brilliance can be measured, but not always replicated, a paradox as haunting as its unplayed notes. Now, plunge from the refined world of violins to the depths of legend, the lost city of Atlantis. Unlike the tangible craftsmanship of Stradivari, Atlantis exists in the realm of myth and mystery, a civilization so advanced its disappearance has sparked debates for millennia. Plato first described it in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, painting a picture of an island empire beyond the Pillars of Hercules, its concentric rings of land and water brimming with temples, docks, and a palace of shimmering orichalcum. Then, in a single cataclysmic day, it sank beneath the waves, punished by the gods for its hubris. But was Atlantis pure allegory, a cautionary tale about the perils of power, or could it have been real? The search for Atlantis has sent explorers to every corner of the globe, from the azure waters of the Aegean to the mudflats of the Caribbean. Some argue it was inspired by the Minoan civilization on Crete, obliterated by the volcanic eruption of Thera around 1600 BC. Others point to the Richat structure in Mauritania, a natural geological formation so perfectly circular it seems man-made. Then there's the wilder fringe, theories linking Atlantis to Antarctic ice shelves or even extraterrestrial visitors. What unites these quests is the human hunger for a lost golden age, a time when technology and spirituality walked hand in hand. Atlantis endures because it's more than a sunken city, it's a mirror. For conspiracy theorists, it's proof of forgotten high technology. For philosophers, a parable about pride. And for archaeologists, a puzzle that may never be solved. Its legacy isn't in ruins, but in the questions it forces us to ask. How much of history lies beneath the waves? and what happens when a civilization's ambition outpaces its wisdom. The answers, like Atlantis itself, remain just out of reach, shimmering in the depths of imagination. The lost city of Atlantis lingers in our collective imagination like a half-remembered dream, part myth, part mystery, a cautionary tale that refuses to stay buried. Plato's account in Timaeus and Critias paints a vivid picture, an island empire beyond the Pillars of Hercules, its concentric rings of land and water brimming with towering statues, bustling harbors, and a royal palace sheathed in orichalcum, a metal that glowed like fire. This was no ordinary civilization. Atlantis boasted advanced engineering, spiritual wisdom, and military might that rivaled the gods themselves. Then, in a single day and night of earthquakes and floods, it vanished beneath the waves, punished for its arrogance. But here's the question that's haunted scholars for millennia. Was Plato spinning a philosophical fable about the dangers of hubris, or could Atlantis have been real? The search for answers has taken explorers to the farthest corners of the globe. Some point to the Minoan civilization on Crete, obliterated by the volcanic eruption of Thera around 1600 BC, a cataclysm so violent it may have inspired Plato's tale. Others argue for the Richat structure in Mauritania, a natural geological formation so perfectly circular it looks like the ghost of Atlantis's fabled rings. Then there are the wilder theories that Atlantis lies frozen beneath Antarctic ice, or that it was home to an alien race whose technology outshone our own. Underwater ruins like Japan's Yonaguni Monument or Cuba's supposed sunken city keep the hope alive, their jagged formations teasing the possibility of human hands at work. But the truth remains as elusive as the city itself, buried beneath layers of sediment and speculation. What makes Atlantis endure isn't just the allure of a lost utopia. It's the idea that history might hide civilizations far grander than we've dared to imagine. If proven real, Atlantis would rewrite our understanding of human achievement, proving that advanced societies rose and fell long before recorded history. Yet, even if it's pure myth, its legacy is undeniable. From Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea to modern films and video games, Atlantis lives on as a symbol of what we might discover or lose when we push the boundaries of knowledge and power. Now, shift from the ocean's depths to the enigmatic pages of a book that defies comprehension. The Voynich Manuscript isn't just a relic of the stars, it's a puzzle wrapped in vellum, a 400-year-old mystery written in a language no one can read. Unlike Atlantis, this artifact exists in plain sight. Its bizarre illustrations of unidentifiable plants, celestial charts, and naked women bathing in green tubes daring us to crack its code. Carbon dated to the early 15th century, the manuscript's looping script has stumped cryptographers, linguists, and even wartime codebreakers. Is it an elaborate hoax, a lost language, or something far stranger? Theories range from the plausible to the fantastical. Some argue it's a medicinal herbal guide, its bizarre flora representing forgotten remedies. Others see it as an alchemist's notebook, its symbols encoding the secrets of the Philosopher's Stone. More tantalizing are the extraterrestrial whispers that the manuscript's celestial diagrams map constellations unknown to medieval Europe, hinting at knowledge from beyond the stars. Even artificial intelligence has joined the hunt, analyzing its patterns for hidden meaning, yet the manuscript guards its secrets as tightly as Atlantis guards its ruins. What links these two relics, one drowned, the other indecipherable, is their power to ignite curiosity. Atlantis challenges us to question what's buried beneath history's waves, while the Voynich Manuscript dares us to admit that some codes may never be cracked. Together, they remind us that the past's greatest treasures aren't always the ones we can hold. but the ones that hold us in their thrall, whispering riddles we're compelled to solve. The Voynich Manuscript is more than just a cryptic curiosity. It's a 400-year-old enigma that defies every attempt at understanding. Imagine a book filled with looping, alien script, its pages adorned with illustrations of plants that don't exist, celestial charts mapping unknown stars, and nude women bathing in emerald green tubes. Carbon dated to the early 15th century, this manuscript has resisted the efforts of the world's greatest codebreakers, from Renaissance scholars to World War II cryptographers armed with early computers. Its language, dubbed Voynichese, follows patterns yet refuses to match any known alphabet or cipher. Is it an elaborate medieval hoax, a pharmacopoeia of forgotten herbs, or something far stranger, perhaps a message from a lost civilization or even an extraterrestrial intelligence? What makes the Voynich Manuscript so maddening is its tantalizing proximity to comprehension. Statistical analysis reveals its text has the rhythm of a real language, with word frequencies resembling Latin or Arabic. Yet no Rosetta Stone exists to crack its code. Some theorists argue it's a sophisticated cipher, hiding alchemical secrets or heretical knowledge behind layers of encryption. Others propose its glossolalia, the ramblings of a mystic transcribing divine visions. The most compelling clue, a single marginal note in clumsy German, suggesting the book once passed through the hands of someone who didn't understand it either. Now shift from the silent riddles of parchment to a relic pulsing with legendary power, the Seal of Solomon. Unlike the Voynich Manuscript's ambiguity, this artifact's reputation is crystal clear, a ring or talisman said to grant its bearer dominion over demons, beasts, and the natural world. Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions all weave tales of King Solomon wielding the seal to command jinn, speak with animals, and even bend the wind to his will. Descriptions vary. Sometimes it's a brass ring engraved with the Tetragrammaton, other times a gemstone inscribed with celestial symbols, but its power remains consistent, absolute authority over the unseen. Historians speculate the seal might have been inspired by ancient signet rings, tools of statecraft used to stamp royal decrees, but its mythos transcends mere politics. Medieval grimoires like the Key of Solomon describe rituals to recreate its magic, while Arabic texts claim it was hidden after Solomon's death to prevent its misuse. The seal's allure lies in this duality, a symbol of divine wisdom and a weapon of unimaginable force. Could it have been a real object, its abilities exaggerated over time? Or does its legend endure because it speaks to humanity's oldest yearning, to control the uncontrollable? The answer, much like the Voynich's cipher, remains just out of reach, a shadow at the edge of history's light. The Seal of Solomon wasn't just a ring, it was a key to the unseen world, a relic so potent it blurred the line between divine wisdom and supernatural control. Ancient texts describe it as a brass or gold band engraved with the name of God, its symbols pulsing with power to command demons, silence storms, and even force the animal kingdom into submission. King Solomon, renowned for his unparalleled wisdom, allegedly used it to build his temple without the sound of hammers, compelling jinn to labor in silence. But here's the twist. Was the seal a physical object or a metaphor for the king's legendary judgment? Jewish mysticism treats it as a tangible tool, passed down through hidden lineages, while Islamic traditions claim it was a signet ring bearing the phrase, "Allah is the greatest ruler." Medieval grimoires like the Key of Solomon brim with intricate diagrams to recreate its power, its hexagrams and pentacles fueling centuries of occult practice. Yet no artifact matching its description has ever surfaced, unless you count the handful of ancient signet rings in museum collections, their worn inscriptions hinting at lost meanings. What makes the seal's legend so enduring isn't just its alleged powers, but the duality it represents. To some, it symbolizes the triumph of wisdom over chaos, Solomon's famed ability to discern truth, like the story of the two mothers claiming the same child. To others, it's a literal weapon, a relic capable of bending the supernatural to human will. Alchemists sought its secrets to unlock hidden knowledge, while Renaissance magicians like John Dee studied its symbols to commune with angels. Even today, replicas surface in esoteric shops and online forums, their sellers promising a fraction of the original's might. But if the real seal still exists, where could it be? Some believe it's sealed beneath Jerusalem's Temple Mount, hidden alongside the Ark of the Covenant. Others argue it was looted by Babylonians and melted down, its power dispersed like smoke. The most tantalizing theory, that it was never destroyed, just waiting for someone worthy to wield it again. Now shift from a relic that commanded the living to one that spoke to the dead, the Book of Thoth. Unlike the seal's tangible mystique, this ancient tome dwells in the realm of shadows, said to contain the secrets of immortality and the language of the gods. Egyptian legends describe it as penned by Thoth himself, the ibis-headed deity of wisdom, its pages brimming with spells to open the underworld and stars to navigate the afterlife. But the book came with a grim price. Any mortal who read it would face the wrath of the gods, a curse as old as time. One story tells of Prince Neferkaptah, who stole the book despite warnings, only to watch his family perish before drowning himself in despair. His ghost, it's said, still guards the book's hidden resting place. What sets the Book of Thoth apart from other lost relics is its paradoxical nature. It was both a treasure and a taboo, offering ultimate knowledge at the cost of ultimate ruin. Papyrus fragments from the Hellenistic era mention its existence, while the Demotic magical papyrus references spells attributed to it. Some scholars believe the real book might have been an early philosophical or scientific text, its contents so revolutionary they were mythologized as divine. Others speculate it inspired the Emerald Tablet of Hermes Trismegistus, the foundational text of alchemy. But the most haunting question remains: if discovered today, would its wisdom enlighten us or unleash calamity? Like the Seal of Solomon, the book's true power may lie not in its pages, but in the stories we tell about it, a mirror to humanity's unquenchable thirst for secrets just beyond reach. The Book of Thoth wasn't just a collection of spells, it was a divine paradox, a text said to hold the power to unravel life and death itself. Ancient Egyptians whispered of its origins, penned by the ibis-headed god of wisdom. Its pages contained incantations to command the underworld, decipher the language of animals, and even cheat mortality. But this knowledge came at a cost. Legend warned that any mortal who read it would be cursed, their fate twisted by the god's wrath. One haunting tale speaks of Prince Neferkaptah, who stole the book from its hidden resting place only to watch his family drown before taking his own life in despair. His ghost, bound to the book for eternity, supposedly guards it still. So where does this cursed tome lie? Some believe it was sealed inside a pharaoh's tomb, buried beneath the sands to keep its secrets from the unworthy. Others claim it was hidden in a labyrinth beneath the Temple of Ammon, its location known only to high priests who took the truth to their graves. The book's allure isn't just in its promised power, it's in the questions it forces us to confront. Could it have been a real text, perhaps an early scientific or philosophical treat, is so revolutionary it was mythologized? Fragments of the Demotic magical papyrus reference spells attributed to Thoth, while the Emerald Tablet, a cornerstone of alchemy, echoes its themes of hidden wisdom. Modern archaeologists still scour Egypt's ruins and undiscovered chambers, hoping to find even a single page that might prove its existence. but the deeper mystery lies in why this legend endures. Perhaps it's humanity's oldest obsession, the longing to conquer death, to hold knowledge so profound it bends the universe itself. Now we turn from a book that promised eternal life to a spring that promised eternal youth. The Fountain of Youth isn't just a myth, it's a mirror held up to our deepest fears and desires. Stories of miraculous waters span cultures and millennia. Alexander the Great searched for a river of paradise to restore his vitality, while the Epic of Gilgamesh describes a plant at the bottom of the ocean that could reverse aging. But it was Spanish explorer Juan Ponce de Leon who etched the fountain into Western lore, sailing to the New World in 1513 after rumors of rejuvenating springs in Bimini. What he found instead was Florida's sweltering coastline, yet the legend refused to die. What makes the Fountain of Youth so captivating isn't just the fantasy of immortality, but the real-world quests it inspired. From the jungle-shrouded pools of the Amazon to the thermal springs of Japan, explorers and scientists have chased leads for centuries. In the 1960s, a Florida entrepreneur even capitalized on the myth, opening a tourist attraction where visitors still drink from a magic spring, though the only thing it guarantees is a mild mineral aftertaste. Yet the search continues in labs today, where researchers study extremophiles in Yellowstone's hot springs and deep-sea hydrothermal vents, seeking clues to slow aging. The fountain may never be found, but its legacy lives on, not in a hidden oasis, but in our unshakable drive to outrun time itself. These two relics, one of ink, one of water, reveal the same truth. Humanity's greatest treasures aren't gold or gems, but the dreams we chase. Whether it's the Book of Thoth's forbidden knowledge or the fountain's elusive promise, their power lies in the stories we tell, the questions we ask, and the lengths we'll go to touch the impossible. And so, as our journey through history's lost relics ends, we're left with one final thought. Sometimes the real treasure isn't finding what was lost. It's realizing how much wonder still waits to be discovered. The Fountain of Youth isn't just a myth, it's a reflection of humanity's oldest, most visceral fear, the relentless march of time. Stories of magical waters that restore youth span cultures and continents, from the River of Paradise, sought by Alexander the Great, to the rejuvenating peaches of Chinese folklore. But it was Spanish explorer Juan Ponce de Leon who cemented the legend in Western imagination, sailing to the Americas in 1513 after tales of a spring in Bimini that could turn old men young again. What he found instead were Florida's swamps and mosquitoes, yet the dream refused to die. What makes these stories so persistent isn't just the fantasy of immortality, but the very real science behind them. Thermal springs worldwide, from Japan's onsens to Iceland's Blue Lagoon, have long been associated with healing properties, their mineral-rich waters easing ailments and soothing aging joints. In Ecuador, the Vilcabamba Valley became famous for its centenarians, sparking theories about trace elements in its water delaying decay. Even today, researchers study extremophiles microbes thriving in harsh environments like Yellowstone's hot springs for clues to slowing cellular aging. The line between myth and medicine blurs when you consider that some of these organisms produce compounds now used in anti-aging creams and longevity research. Yet the fountain's true power lies in its symbolism. For conquistadors, it represented divine favor, a tangible reward for their brutal quests. For modern seekers, it's a metaphor for scientific breakthroughs, from cryonics to gene editing. Silicon Valley billionaires pour millions into young blood transfusions and telomere-lengthening experiments, proving that the urge to outwit time hasn't faded. The irony: the closest thing to a real fountain of youth might be the simple, unglamorous habits we've known for centuries: clean water, balanced diets and community, ingredients far less exotic than a hidden jungle spring, but just as transformative. The legend endures because it's not really about water. It's about the human condition, our refusal to accept limits, our hunger for second chances. Whether whispered in taverns or debated in labs, the fountain of youth is a mirror. And what it shows us isn't just a face untouched by time, but the unquenchable spark that keeps us searching, even when the map runs out. From sacred artifacts whispering of divine power to technological marvels that defy the timeline of human innovation, these 30 relics are more than just lost objects. They're fragments of our collective story, each one a doorway to unanswered questions. Their disappearances have left gaps in history that tantalize archaeologists, historians, and dreamers alike, proving how much of our past still lies buried beneath deserts, drowned in oceans, or hidden in plain sight. What makes these legends endure isn't just the allure of treasure, but the way they blur the line between fact and myth, pushing us to question what we think we know. Take the Ark of the Covenant, a relic so powerful it could level armies, yet its fate remains one of history's greatest riddles. Contrast that with the Antikythera Mechanism, a machine so advanced it feels out of place in the ancient world. One represents faith, the other ingenuity, yet both whisper the same truth. Civilizations before us reached heights we're only beginning to understand. And what of the Library of Alexandria? Its ashes remind us how fragile knowledge truly is, how easily the wisdom of ages can vanish in a single night of fire. These aren't just stories of loss, they are invitations to rediscovery, urging us to look closer at the shadows of history. Now it's your turn. Which relic captivates your imagination? The cursed Necklace of Harmonia, radiating beauty and ruin, the Philosopher's Stone promising alchemical transformation. Or perhaps the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, a verdant mirage in the desert sands. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear which mystery lingers in your mind long after this video ends. If you enjoyed unraveling these enigmas with us, hit subscribe and join our community of treasure hunters, history lovers, and curious minds. There are countless more secrets waiting to be uncovered, and we're just getting started. Until next time, keep your eyes open, your curiosity sharp, and remember, the greatest discoveries often begin with a single question.